Okay, welcome to this video where I'm going to show you how to do an independent samples t-test using SPSS. So we opened up our SPSS file here and we're looking at a data set which looks a little bit different from the one where we showed you how to do a paired samples t-test. Because in this case what we've got is 20 participants down here and they've been split, as you can see, into two groups. We've got group 1, so we've got 10 in group 1, and we've got another 10 in group 2. And I'll tell you what those groups represent in just a second. And then we've got a measure of performance here. And the same as in the previous video, this measure of performance is power output from our 2,000 meter rowing time trial. And group 1 here have done this rowing time trial following breakfast. And group 2 have done the rowing time trial having not had breakfast, so they're still fasted. So essentially what we're doing is comparing one group's performance when they've had breakfast and one group's worth of participants when they haven't had breakfast. So because we've got two groups, the data are now independent. Okay, if we had the same group of participants doing the test twice, they would be paired. But because we've got two groups of participants and we're comparing performance between those two groups, which have been treated differently, this is now independent. And the data is normally distributed for both groups, so we can do an independent samples t-test. So to do the test, then you're going to come up to Analyze again. That's the usual menu that we go to do the tests. And we're going to go to Compare Means again. And we're going to go this time to Independent Samples t-test. So we'll select that. And you can see here that the menu looks a little bit different from the one from the paired samples t-test. So it's asking here for our test variable, and that's the variable that you want to look for the difference between. And in this case, that's going to be performance. So we're going to put performance in here. And then this time we're going to have to put in a grouping variable because it needs to know what groups to compare performance between. So we're going to bring our group over to here, and then we just need to define our groups. Okay, so we need to tell SPSS which groups to compare, because we might have more than two groups in our data set. And we're going to define them, so we've got group 1 equals 1 and group 2 equals 2. So that's the two groups that we're going to compare, because we've got group 1 here and group 2. We might have a case where we've got other groups involved, but now we're telling SPSS to compare all the 1s with all the 2s. Can it continue? We don't need to touch the options and we don't need to touch the bootstrapping menus here. So we can just hit OK. And it's going to bring us up the results of our t-test. So again, we've got two boxes here. We've got our group statistics. So you can see here that we know it's picked it up correctly because we've got group 1, 10 participants, and group 2, 10 participants. And then we've calculated our means, standard deviations, and standard errors. So that's fine. There's our descriptive statistics. And then down here we've got the results of our independent samples t-test. I'm just going to maximize this so we can see the whole box. And then again, it's just knowing where to look. And in this case, we want the significance value because that's our p-value. And you can see that there's two different ones in this case. And we're just going to look at the one that says equal variances assumed. And you can see that they're the same in this case anyway. But that's the p-value you want, equal variances assumed. And you can see in this case, our p-value is 0.858, which is greater than 0.05. So that would tell us that there is no significant difference in the performance of these two groups in the rowing time trial. And then the same as with the paired sample t-test, you can see that we've got the mean differences. We've got the standard error of the difference here. So again, we can see our mean difference between the two groups, but the one we're really interested in is our p-value. Okay, and that's the one you'd use to make your decision on whether or not there was a difference between the two groups. Okay, and that's how to do an independent t-test in SPSS.